Let's take a look at Project 3 for Algebra 2B. This corresponds to Lesson 15. Okay, so we're talking about the wedding, and we're told that we've got these bridesmaids, these groomsmen, the officiant, and Polly determines that the best way to organize everyone is for the officiant to stand at the vertex at the front and to have the bride and groom stand across from each other. The bridesmaids and groomsmen will then line up so that the entire group forms a U shape that is symmetric about a line that passes through the point where the officiant stands. What type of function most accurately models this structure? So we need to draw this and then figure out what sort of function family it looks like. So I highlighted the first bit, which is that the officiant is supposed to stand at a vertex at the front. So I'm just going to draw the efficient like right here. And I'm just going to label this O for efficient. And then it mentions the bride and groom. Let's see, what does it say about them? To have the bride and groom stand across from each other. So it's not super specific, right? But I can draw them standing across from each other. So maybe, I don't know, maybe the bride is here and maybe the groom is here. Okay, then the bridesmaids and groomsmen will have to line up so that the entire group forms a U shape that is symmetric about a line that passes through the point where the officiant stands. All right, so let's figure this out. So they're forming this U about this line, so I'm going to draw the line first. The U shape has to be symmetric about that line, so where is that line supposed to be? It is a line that passes through the point where the officiant stands. Alright, so that sounds like it might look something like there might be this kind of imaginary line doing this. And then we have the bridesmaids and groomsmen around it, right? So they line up so that the entire group forms a U shape that is symmetric about this line that I've just drawn. So what would that look like? Let's see. That might be something like, I don't know, this, right? Kind of a U shape. And it's symmetric, so I haven't drawn this perfectly. So these are my maids, my bridesmaids, and my groomsmen in blue. All right, so what type of function most accurately models this structure that I've just drawn, where I have this sort of U shape? Imagine this U shape connected. Okay, so I've got a U shape. I've got a point at the vertex. I've got a line of symmetry passing through it, and then I've got these two points that people will be focusing on during the ceremony. What type of function, family, does this most closely represent? Is it quadratic, linear, rational, or radical? All right, let's look at the next example. Digit realizes that some members of the audience cannot see the bride and groom due to the current seating arrangement. Therefore, the U shape in which the wedding party is organized needs to be widened so that the entire audience fits in between the outer boundaries of the U shape. In other words, the audience will be located above the upward opened parabola formed by the bridal party. What transformation is needed to widen the shape in which the wedding party is currently organized? So lots of information here, but there are some things we can focus on. So we don't need to completely redraw that whole picture from before. We know that it's roughly shaped like this, right, where we had our bridesmaids and groomsmen, we had our vertex, we had our bride and our groom, and we had a, oops, let's use a different color. We had a line of symmetry. All right, so they're saying we need to widen this shape. We need to widen this shape so that the entire audience fits in between the outer boundaries of the U shape. So they're saying, like, if we have, let's draw our audience. Let's draw them in white. So let's say each of these dots represents an audience member. So if I have my audience way out here, right, each of these audience members is sitting in a chair. It's going to be really hard for this person on the end to see the bride and groom, right? Because of the bridesmaids and the groomsmen in the way. So what they're saying is we need to widen the U shape. So it currently looks like this. We need to make it look more like that, right? So, and looking at this picture, currently looks like this. They're saying so that the audience fits in between the outer boundaries of the U. So this would be the outer boundary of my U, and they're saying needs to be like that. So everyone can have a clear picture of the bride and groom. All right, so let me erase that other drawing. So if I widen that U shape, everyone will have a clear picture of the bride and groom. So what kind of transformation is that? What kind of transformation changes the size of or the shape of a figure? Would this be a dilation, a translation, a reflection, or a rotation? So did I just dilate this shape? Did I translate it? Did I reflect it? Or did I rotate it? Finally, explain which keyword or phrases you use to identify the function type for question 1 and the transformation for question 2. Alright, so this is going to be two separate answers. First, you're going to go back and review question 1. That's when we did all that work to draw that parabola shape with all of the features in it, right? So what keywords and what phrases did we use in order to draw this image and then to identify what kind of function we had? And then in question 2, so this is for question 1, and then in question 2, what information did we know, or did we use, what keywords did we use to figure out that we had this shape, but we wanted a shape more like this, and then how did you figure out what kind of transformation that was? So as always, be detailed, be clear, fully explain your reasoning. Give the examples straight from the text. When they say explain which keywords, pull those directly out of the text. Use correct mathematical language. And again, talk to us as if you're talking to someone who, hasn't read the question or who doesn't fully understand the concept. Always assume that you're the one teaching your audience. And once you answer that question, you will be done with Project 3.